Hey! Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Azrael, Angel in the Dark. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Azrael, Angel in the Dark collects the first 6 issues to the ongoing Azrael series. Now, don't be confused with the previous trade, which was Death Dark Knight. That doesn't collect the first issues of the Azrael ongoing series, it collects the Battle for the Cowl issues. This actually starts the ongoing Azrael comic series. Am I confusing you? I hope I'm not. This does continue, though, what was said in the previous trade. So it continues the story of Michael Lane as the Azrael. Now, I am warming up a bit to Michael Lane. He's not quite Jean-Paul Valley for me. I've always had a special place in my heart for Jean-Paul Valley. But Michael Lane is growing to be kind of a cool character, and he's fitting into the role of Azrael in a different way, but still fitting into it. I guess I can feel how Blue Beetle fans must feel right now. I have someone at work that is a die-hard Ted Kord fan. He just can't stand to like the new Blue Beetle, Jaime. It's not that there's anything wrong with Jaime, it's just he's had such a love and affection for Ted Kord. And the same thing could be said with me with Michael Lane. Michael Lane is a cool character, really good Azrael, but it's taking a little bit longer for me to warm up to him, mostly because, well, I like Jean-Paul Valley so much. The character was so cool that it's going to take a while for me to get over him. That's not to say that I won't get over him and then move on to Michael Lane, because, like I said, Michael Lane is an interesting and different Azrael, seeing that Jean-Paul Valley was a character that was in constant conflict with himself and going crazier by the day. Michael Lane is also a character that is going crazier, but he's in conflict with everyone and everything around him. So it's a little bit different and a little bit more unique, but it's something that I'm growing to like. So let's jump into the actual stories themselves. Now, Angel in the Dark does more of establishing the character of Azrael than any specific story arc. It deals with Azrael and his family, the murders in his family, and it also deals with his place in the Order of Purity and with the Order of St. Dumas. Because there's 2 orders for Azrael. There's the Order of Purity, which is what Michael Lane is part of, and the Order of St. Dumas, which was what Jean-Paul Valley was part of. And he's starting to find more and more that the people around him aren't necessarily the people he should trust. People that he invested a lot in as a person turn out to be, well, not people he should have invested in. I can't really go into too much about the story because, like I said, it's just individual stories. There is some connection between them, but it's more or less dealing with Azrael finding a place in the world for himself. So let's just jump into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Well, this does do a good job at trying to establish the character of Azrael, Michael Lane in the role, and where exactly does he fit in this universe that is Gotham City, and that is the Batman. The thing about these stories that I like is it has a very street-level feel to it. Almost a Legend of the Dark Knight street-level feel. If you remember reading the Legend of the Dark Knight series, it had a very grimy, dirty, street-level stories to it. And Azrael kind of feels like that. It feels like I'm reading Batman the Cult, or Batman Gothic, or Batman Prey. I mean, it has a very basic street-level feel. And the Cult isn't part of Legend of the Dark Knights, but it's something I could give as an example to how you feel when you read Azrael. So it has a very cool, basic street-level feel to it. And like I said, Azrael is starting to turn out to be a cooler character as time goes on, especially with his 2 swords, the Sword of Salvation, the Sword of Sin, and the Suit of Sorrow. I mean, he's just an unstoppable badass. The stories are well written, and they're intriguing enough that you want to keep on reading on to the next issue. There's a little bit of interaction with Batman, but not so much that Batman is an essential character in the story. This is Azrael's own title, and you don't even need Batman in it for it to work. Bad. Well, with no cohesive or overall story arc, it kind of falls apart there. It would have been nice if, although the stories do connect together well, it would have been nice if there was an overall story arc, if there was a larger theme to this. Like I said, this does a lot in establishing Azrael as a character, the world he lives in, the mentality he has, but I still would have liked the story out of it. In addition to that, I feel as though Azrael hasn't quite hit his stride yet. They're still trying to get their footing with this character and with this comic. He has very little bit of a supporting cast. He has his sister-in-law, and he has some of the Order of Purity, and Batman comes in every once in a while, but he really doesn't have much of a supporting cast. And like I said, right now they're just starting to get the tone or the feeling of the story. What I do have to say is, though, how they end the story makes me want to go pick up the next trade, which will collect the next issues, because it leaves off on a really good note. But the series is still getting its footing. It's still trying to figure out where it belongs. Whether or not you should get it. This is what I have to say. Azrael right now as a comic isn't the best comic out there. I said before, when it came to the Batman Reborn series, Azrael is probably the weakest out of all the comics. And I stay true to that. Out of all the comics that have been released, he's probably the weakest, although I'm starting to like him a little bit more than Batwoman. However, when this character hits its stride, when this comic gets better, it will get better in the best of ways. I think this comic will be a very good addition to the Batman family. It's just a matter of the comic getting better. It's just a matter of it trying to feel where it belongs. Because right now it's still in the I don't know region of where the direction is going, how the character is developing, and the world he's in. Once it gets all those areas settled down, then the comic, I believe, will be better because of it. I do recommend picking this up, which goes against what I recommended for the first Azrael trade. The first Azrael trade, I said, don't bother. It's the last thing on your list. Maybe pick it up when you have enough money. However, Angel in the Dark was a fun series of stories. It's not so much as it's good as more or less I think you should read it to start to like the character. So where this is a C at best level story, it still has a good character in it. I think if you get this, you'll start to like Azrael as a character, and maybe you would want to pick up the rest of the series. I don't know. I do recommend this, but I recommend it to people that have got everything else they wanted to get out of the way. Or to people that just want to try something new and be daring and bold. Sometimes that works out. A lot of times when I want to be daring and bold and new with my comic book reading, I grow to love characters like Hawkman and Booster Gold. Never thought I would like the characters, but now they're some of my favorite characters because I went out there and I tried something risky with them. The same thing could be said about Azrael. Probably, again, the last thing that you should pick up on your Batman collection. However, I do recommend at some point to pick it up. So Azrael, Angel in the Dark. Hopefully the series gets better because I think it has a lot of potential. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.